Since 2K decided to turn SuperCard into the brand it is today, with the introduction of NHL SuperCard back in 2015, there's been some desire from their fan base to expand it further. Now, whilst a lot of this died off back in 2018 when NHL SuperCard closed, it restarted when NBA SuperCard randomly relaunched in 2020. The most sought after titles like Dream Games were a football-related SuperCard or soccer and an American football, specifically NFL and FIFA, similar to how they're used in EA's own Ultimate Team mode. Of course, both of these were always shut down by the fact that EA had exclusive rights to both. But now, things have changed a little bit. It's now more than possible that a FIFA SuperCard could be happening. But before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you whack that like button if you breathe oxygen, because why wouldn't you? I mean, we all breathe, and if we don't breathe, that's a big problem. So let's just go ahead. And if you go on to enjoy the video and decide, hey, I want to see more of this, drop an elbow on that subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the bell as well, so you're told whenever a new video is released. Whilst you're watching the video, get involved by dropping a comment down below and letting me know what you think about the idea of a FIFA SuperCard actually becoming a reality, which is something I've never thought would happen. Or perhaps any sport. You know, we could even go Quidditch. Anyone? No? Okay. Now at this point, it's important to mention that nothing has been officially confirmed or announced, because 2K rarely confirm or deny speculation. But there is solid evidence that it could happen, because whilst 2K haven't spoken, there's a lot of people who have. I already covered the really good chances of us getting an NFL SuperCard at some time in the future, after they broke away from their exclusive deal with EA and signed up with 2K Games. Now, to be clear, the simulation style is still exclusive to them, but other more casual titles or mobile titles can now be done by other companies, and the one they signed up with just so happened to be 2K. Since then, Disney then withdrew their Star Wars title exclusivity from EA, and joining the party, FIFA has now done the same. The speculation all started when EA started mentioning potentially renaming their football series from FIFA, insert random yearly number here, to EA Sports FC. As we look ahead, we're also exploring the idea of renaming our EA Sports football games. This means we're reviewing our naming rights agreement with FIFA, which is separate from all of our other official partnerships and licenses across the football world. And that article came out in the New York Times. Now, obviously, this created a little tiny fire. Well, FIFA took that fire and poured a whole tank of gasoline on it with this statement. FIFA is bullish and excited about the future in gaming and esports for football. And it is clear that this needs to be a space that is occupied by more than just one party controlling all rights. Technology and mobile companies are now actively competing to be associated with FIFA. Consequently, FIFA is engaging with various industry players, including developers, investors, and analysts. The outcome will ensure that FIFA has a range of suitable parties with specialist capabilities to actively shape the best possible experiences and offerings for fans and consumers. This shows one of two things. One, FIFA are really serious about branching out and starting relationships with other companies. Staying exclusive is rarely beneficial. Or two, FIFA are getting really annoyed with EA hoarding all that Ultimate Team money, and now they want the bag. And EA's original comment seems to only have come off the fact that FIFA have now demanded
$1 billion. Oh, gentlemen, silence.
for the FIFA naming rights for the next 4 years, which, going by their words, they've kind of scoffed at. But let's clarify something. This doesn't mean the end of FIFA or EA Sports FC, whatever they decide to call it. It just means that the name FIFA won't be on the games anymore. EA can still license the players through FIFA Pro, which is a completely separate entity, and they'll still be able to do everything they're doing at the moment, just without the name FIFA or their competitions, World Cup, etc. Whether this affects anything else, such as exclusivity of certain players or teams, time will tell. That would then mean that FIFA can go to any company in the world. license their games to multiple people, or sign other exclusive agreements, including renowned sports studios such as Take-Two's 2K Games and Sony's San Diego studio. As it stands, there really isn't anyone else who could take on a brand that size. Not one that you would immediately think would be interested. Apart from Konami, but yeah, eFootball. As long as this isn't a plot to get more money out of EA, then it's highly likely that we're going to see FIFA elsewhere, potentially with 2K Games, who just so happen to own Cat Daddy, who makes SuperCard. If that happened, 2K would have access to NBA, FIFA, and the NFL under their roster, as well as WWE. Although there's talks that the last one isn't as secure as you'd expect. More on that in a moment. So why SuperCard? Well, 2K's financial reports show that SuperCard is the most profitable WWE game and their most profitable mobile title in their ranks. It's beaten the mainstay WWE games, who have classically been without microtransactions for many years now, and has now been running, as you guys know, for 7 years. But they also have the crazy popular and very profitable My Team, which you can find over in the NBA games. And it would only make sense for the NFL and FIFA brands to fit into those, with My Team likely staying to console and SuperCard for mobile. And the FIFA mobile game is ludicrously popular. Just imagine that, but on SuperCard. However, the relationship between WWE and 2K probably has gone under a lot of stress since the release of, let's say, problematic 2K20. As most of you probably know, it was critically lambasted for the bugs, glitches, and all the problems it had, which mostly have been sorted now, but WWE did go on record to state their disappointment in how the game performed. And 2K took notice of this by delaying the game for at least another year so they could get things right. In its place, 2K released 2K Battlegrounds, and that was received pretty poorly. Now, just on a personal note, I actually really liked it. I didn't have any problems with it other than it was very basic, but that's only one man's opinion because critics and players alike didn't like the style. And when it's supposed to be replacing a huge sim game, well, that causes more problems. And if the rumored strained relationship is to be believed, it would have been tested further by the announcement of a March release for 2K22, which has openly been reported and spoken about as a delay from the normal November-October release date. The rumors citing a strained relationship came from Sports Gamers Online. It was like threats to cancel cable. Threats would come out of them claiming to have an interest from one company here or there. Now, it's worth considering that WWE 2K or Visual Concepts have not confirmed this officially. So common sense dictates that we should take this with a pinch of salt. But if this is correct, one of the publishers that's been murmured is, ironically, EA. Now, whether EA would like to work with WWE or they'd prefer the younger, fresher product of AEW, yeah, that's coming too, is down to debate. But what we do know is that EA likely won't have a $1 billion bill to settle, meaning they've got some spare cash. They'd certainly have the budget to fund a WWE or wrestling game. Although with the strength of WWE SuperCard, I doubt that 2K or WWE are going to want that to stop anytime soon. I'd personally expect it to remain at 2K, but that's just my opinion. Now, if all this speculation is true, it would lead to two things. One would be the end of the 2K WWE series, and almost certainly a WWE version of Ultimate Team. I still don't understand why 2K never put something in the main WWE games. It just seems like the perfect kind of thing to do. Ironically, we could end up with an EA WWE game sooner than a potential FIFA SuperCard, although that logo looks pretty good. Next year for gaming in general is going to be really interesting, and this is going to be something that picks up quite fast, regardless of what direction it goes in. Personally, I just want good games to play, and at the moment, SuperCard's doing great. The FIFA series is still popular, even though it's basically the same game every year, and well, we need WWE 2K22 to be good. I really hope it is. But I have been SuperZomgbBBQ, you have been awesome, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll see you in the next one.